Hello and welcome to another episode of Cardinal Conversations. This week we've got a special guest. It's not an ex-player. It's not someone from BBC Surrey. It's someone from the football club. So you might be aware of their name. You might be aware of their face. You might have come across them before, but you might not have done. And that's one of the reasons that we're looking to kind of do this series where we're looking at kind of some of the people at the club, and anyone that wants to jump on and have a chat with us. We'll see who we can get and where we go with it this season. But first of all, we're delighted to welcome the media manager. I think that's your title, Jonnie Green, to the show. Hopefully that is your job title, but if it's not, please do correct it. And if you could give a background to yourself as well, that would be a brief one. That'd be good.
Yeah, no, that is my title. I started a couple of years back with the club. Was a fan beforehand, was a season ticket holder before I started working at the club. Dan O'Sullivan, who many people probably know, was the media manager before me. I came in whilst doing a university degree as a placement. I basically went back to uni in my 30s to do a degree to get me into sports media. And then I started, it would have been two years ago now, just over 2 years ago now, with Dan in the media team as in my final year. And then as he left and joined Fulham in the April of that season, there was a natural transition of when I finished my university degree in the May, to then be offered the job to take on that role from Dan. And yeah, that's as of last season, I started part-time. I don't know if many people knew that at the time. Then the media was a bit more quiet in that spell at the first half of last season, obviously with what was going on at the club. So at the time I was only part-time and we were trying to get through that until the takeover. And then I came in full-time as of February this year. And yeah, here I am now. Yeah.
I was going to say, doing it part-time is probably a really difficult thing to do, because if you've got another job but something big happens at the club, I guess that must have been really tricky for you to manage the both of them.
Yeah, I was working 6 days a week, 4 days a week in the week at another job, one day in the office, and then Saturdays as well. And like you say, it was one of them, can you schedule this on your lunch break, or can you schedule this after work to go out tomorrow? And yeah, it was tricky. So I was really happy when the decision was made to take me on full time. Yeah.
I guess people will probably be quite familiar with kind of media. There's a lot of different channels these days, but I think your role kind of goes beyond kind of the traditional things that people might think about, which I guess is social media. I know you've got a team beneath you as well who you'll probably shout out, but there's quite a few things I think that fall under your remit. Is that right?
Yeah, we're definitely now, since Robin Burns come in, he has a strong marketing background, so we're trying to see how we can use our channels more effectively, rather than, my mindset was probably, let's make it as entertaining as possible. Now we're really trying to break it down as to what can the club strategically get out of our media. Look at the different channels, focus, on different age groups, different genders, not just thinking maybe I was a bit like, oh, our fans are going to love this, but now it's more like, well, how can I get someone else who comes across it on social media? Oh, this looks like a fun club. I might go down and check Woking out, and how can we use it more as a marketing tool, as well as just sort of, getting our fans clued up to what's going on day to day at the club. So yeah, try to keep it fun. I think people probably would have picked up that I like to create videos. That was when I came in with Dan. I was doing a lot of videography work, the pitch side, sort of highlights of the goals, etc. So yeah, I like to use. I think the players are our biggest asset in terms of what the people want to see. So if I can use them in a fun way to get an advert across for something that we're trying to, achieve, or to push sales, or, I did the Josh Asude one for the player sponsorships this week, stuff like that. Yeah, we're really trying to think of how we can be creative, maybe more creative than the club has been before in certain aspects. And yeah, that's the real aim, is to obviously use it strategically in marketing as well as media. Yeah.
I guess actually thinking of that, there's kind of often shots you'll see of promos that are going on down at the club. This happened like loads over the years, where you'll just see, I think one was definitely like Fabregas was just in like a Puma shoot. I don't know what brand he was working for, like
Yeah,
shooting balls into the LGS goal. It's like, that's random, but I think there was some stuff that went on this summer as well. So I guess, are you kind of the first port of call when, I guess, production companies are reaching out to film a location? Is that kind of how some of
yeah,
that stuff works?
yeah. Sometimes it can come to me. Obviously, the Sidemen one was probably the one that got the most traction over the summer, which yeah, that all happened very quickly. Email on a Thursday. Is it available to come and do part of a road trip tour on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday? This is what we need. Can you fulfill it? It has to all be very quiet, obviously. They have a very big fan base. So it was all, they came down, chauffeur-driven cars came in, we opened up the food stuff in the fan zone. They came in, had some breakfast, used the toilets. They were in, out in 15 minutes. It was all, we were trying to creatively think, wow, if we can get KSI to plug, a season tickets or something like that, this could be amazing. But they were very regimented in, they've got lots of commercial deals and stuff they're tied into. We got the soundbite of them chatting about being at Woking FC, which was good enough for us to sort of acknowledge the fact. We didn't want it a bit like the Fabregas one, them sort of just come in, not really reference to where they are. They just come, film and go. So yeah, very briefly met them. Very quickly did what they needed to shoot there, and off they went very quickly. But obviously, in terms of traction and views, it was great for us. One of our most viewed social media posts on any platform. So yeah, good exposure. If we, got a couple of people to come down and check out the club from it, then yeah, it served its purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, great to see that stuff. It's always a bit of a surprise when you see it crop up sometimes in like places you don't expect, and you're like, oh, I recognise that stand, a really niche part of advertising. It's like, oh, that seems to make sense. So no, it's definitely cool to have that. And I think actually we did have Dan on Cast, obviously, I guess the kind of sister podcast of this, because I'm on both of them. So Glenn's not on this one. I guess that's the only difference. But we did have him on a couple of years ago, possibly when you were already working there, I guess, under him potentially.
I think it was just in the process of when I was about to join. I think it was just before the playoffs, if I remember rightly.
Yes, that might
so
be
I
true.
joined. I basically had my initial discussions just before those playoffs, and then joined that summer. Yeah, so it was around that time.
I think when we spoke to him, and obviously you're right, that had been a really good season, so it's probably easy to do it then, because it was like, wow, the media, everyone has the middle stuff. It's probably us liking the tweaks. We're winning every week. But I guess one of the things he was talking about was kind of the style that we were trying to do stuff. I think kind of being kind of very forward looking, very positive. Is that something, have you kind of stamped your own style on it, or is that something you're still, obviously you're never going to be downbeat and negative as a club social media stuff, but is that what kind of your take on it?
No, definitely. First of all, I have to say what a great job Dan did, and he really set the platform for me to take over. There were so many processes in place. He, like you say, they obviously redesigned the badge and the fonts and everything that we still use to this day. And we tweaked the graphics during the seasons and stuff like that. But fundamentally, the processes of how we run the day to day was all set up by Dan, and still very good friends with him now, and still ask for advice from him now, even though he's obviously gone on to Fulham and he's doing a great job there. So yeah, he almost did all the running for me to do the walking, as it says. So we do have a tone that we want to go. We're not going to be one of these sort of parody accounts that we like to have a joke from time to time, and there's some posts that people might think that's a little bit out of character, but yeah, we want to the team that I have with me, we do play it safe sometimes, shall we say. My mantra to them has always been, if they're in charge of the socials, if they think, would Jonnie want me to post this, the answer is no. So that was always sort of what I've said to them. So yeah, we like to keep it lighthearted. We obviously know it's entertainment at the end of the day. Obviously, when you're off the back of a good run of results, then it makes the job a lot easier. And if things aren't going too well, obviously you have to know that you read the room, and you can't, post a jokey player video or some funny content during that week. So we have to read the room and go with how we feel it will be received at the time. Yeah,
you're right. It's so it can be so unique how some of the clubs are on their social media, because as you say, I think a lot of just kind of level-headed people would agree with the stuff you're saying and be like, we want to be creative, do this stuff, have a bit of fun, but obviously you got to balance it with all the stuff. And we'll talk through some of the stuff as well, some of the more lighter side stuff, which is probably over the summer when it's a bit easier to do that. But you do see a vast difference, don't you, with some of the clubs. Some of them don't do very much. Some of them, actually, the one that sprung to mind is kind of Dorking Wanderers, obviously, because Mark White kind of runs it all. But I noticed kind of he just jumps on, obviously has the login and just does his post with kind of MW, his initials at the end.
Yeah.
I guess that just feels like, but I guess it doesn't really matter for them because he owns the club. So like, what's going to happen? But I guess it would probably be pretty different if you just said to Neil, oh, there you go, just there's the login, just tweet whenever you want, just put your initials at the end of it. That feels, maybe you'd get a lot of interactions with it. It's like it would probably give you a few nervous moments.
Yeah, obviously Dorking are just a one of a kind setup. I think there is so unique. Obviously, like you say, Mark basically runs everything, so he can almost do what he wants. You never see another manager coming out swearing in his post-match interview of how things went, and then it goes on their social channels. I still keep in contact with Frank Vincent quite a lot. Now he's down there, and he's pretty much like, yeah, how you see him is exactly how he is. But the media side of it, he's like, wow, got there. Big media team, and then you have a bunch of amateurs on the side on top of that, and yeah, he said the setup there for a club obviously in the division below is the media is vastly bigger than ourselves and probably pretty much every team in the National League. So yeah, they're very much a very unique setup down there, but it's worked for them. It's difficult, like for me, in terms of what we're trying to achieve, and I've gone through like numbers with hierarchy at the club. Is obviously you look at Dorking's numbers on YouTube and TikTok, and then you even look at Walton Hersham's numbers on TikTok, which is in the millions. And yeah, it's one of them. Well, we're more historic than them. What we need to start challenging them for numbers. How can we try and shift our focus and get to those numbers? It's not going to be easy, but we think with our right processes and what we want to do, we can start to get towards those numbers. And it is steadily growing. I'm pleased to say that the numbers of followers and interactions and stuff, the data suggests that, especially since I've been full-time in March, we're going that way. So yeah, hopefully it will continue, and we'll continue to grow the socials and the profile of the club.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's the same with like growing attendances. But I was kind of having this conversation on the match preview pod. Can't remember who it was with, but I promise you it was obviously a great chat that I remember this much. But I think we were discussing about the point. I think they were saying that Woking's fan base, if you look at the attendance figures, is like a lot bigger than a lot of teams in this league, but also like even like League Two. You get quite a lot of teams that get 1,800 most weeks, and they've been in League Two for years, and that's just kind of how it goes. But we have grown that a lot. So I remember kind of the first Conference South seasons, the first time we went down there, you'd get kind of under 1,000 pretty regularly, but that's now grown where that would be a real rarity to see that, especially at a league game. But I guess it's the same with social media, right? You kind of think there probably is a ceiling to it, but to your point, finding the ways around it and just tapping into new kind of demographics and communities and stuff like that. So I guess kind of with that in mind, is there anything kind of coming up that you want to kind of allude to that's not too top secret, that people that might be able to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking to grow the more conventional, to put more content out, communications and creative videos on your Twitters and your Instagram and your Facebook. We've got a new website that will be launched for obviously more conventional media. It's actually probably going to go live in the next 24 to 48 hours. Probably by the time this episode's out, people would be seeing it. So that's very exciting. Want to take definitely this opportunity to put it, to say a particular shout out to Nick Shaw, who developed our website. And I think for over 10 years ago now, we've used it for all that time. He was still doing lots of work for us on the back end of that when we've asked him to help out. The club made the decision in terms of branding and functionalities and how we wanted it to all move into one ecosystem, to move away from the current website. That was a decision that was made. But yeah, a massive thank you to him, who's always been very helpful for me if there's anything that I needed him to do from his side. Great guy when I've met him, lots of friends at the club. So definitely a big thank you to Nick. Obviously the ones that people are aware of is we really want to work with the developers on the app. My plan is to really get some functionalities working where I can grow it. Exclusivity is the one thing we said that we wanted to do with it, and that's something that I really want to try and push, whether that will be a short video of me doing a piece to camera at training, maybe just to give an insight that we wouldn't always get. You know, here at training today, Will Yaskalainen's back with a group doing straight line running. You know, even if it's just a short update where people can go on every day on the app and go, oh wow, okay, cool, we know that's what's going. So and so missed out on training today because he's got a slight, you know, hamstring tight, you know, something like that. We want to try and use that exclusivity. We want to build in, work with some local companies in Woking. There's exclusives for, you know, an app discount on a restaurant, or, you know, things like that. We really want to build it out so we can give the fans some offers and exclusive content on that app. At the moment, we're not using it to its full functionality. We know that we need to work with the developers of it to get it fully up to speed. And then, yeah, we want to try and grow all our media channels collectively. So yeah, that's sort of what we're looking at internally. Hopefully get the team together, and one of our members of the team, Ben, went to America and he's come back, so we're trying to gel the team back together again. And yeah, once we're up to speed, I think we'll be in a good place.
Yeah, the short form video stuff does seem to be like the thing at the moment, doesn't it? Whereas people's attention span seems to be shorter than ever, I guess, with TikTok, but also other platforms. Kind of this, yeah, if you can give it to me in a 30-second video, that seems to be the thing. And as you say, that you've got the players, you've got the situations and stuff like that. So it sounds like that might be something for people to keep an eye out for, which would be really exciting. I guess actually that kind of leads into a question as well. So I think there's probably been managers in the past, not confirmed this is purely a hunch on my part, that might not have wanted stuff like the videos in training and updates, and well, why we don't want to tell people about X, Y, and Z, or I don't want this player doing this interview and that kind of stuff. How have you kind of felt kind of working with Neil and Jody, and I guess even some of the people even higher up? Do they kind of just let you run with it, and they're really easy people to work with?
Exactly that, yeah. Played a big part in me going full time, if I'm honest. Said that media is such a valued important part of the club. It's a window into the club. When Neil came in, Jody came in, they were really positive and supportive of it all. And yeah, they I've never had them say, no, you can't do that, put it that way. So yeah, really, really supportive of it all, understand the importance. Will challenge me to creatively, in a good way. We'll say, you know, why don't you try this or do this, or why aren't we doing this? And yeah, couldn't ask for more support from Robin, Jody, Neil, everyone. Interviews, never had anyone say I can't do an interview. Players, everything. Yeah, really, really open to all the content we're trying to do at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you need, isn't it? Everyone putting together and singing from the same hymn sheet. So that's great to hear. And I guess actually outside of some of the media stuff, I think this is right. Obviously, you mentioned earlier about Dan supporting the change of the logo and the brand and some of the styles that we use, which is crazy actually, because sometimes you see websites, I want to say like the BBC and stuff. Maybe they've changed now, but some of them still, or maybe Google still use the old logo, and it's kind of like, wow, that feels like it kind of looks really out of place now, looking at everything else that's changed, and everyone's just probably become so kind of acclimatized to seeing the new branding all around the club and the style, and that was something that was, as you say, we talked about before, which was cool. But I think something kind of as close to people's hearts is the kits. I gather you were kind of involved with that this summer. Obviously, it was a big shift because we went from Adidas to Araya, I think is how you say it, which was a shift. And obviously, you've got some merch on yourself this evening, so you're selling it well. But I gather you were quite involved with some of the designs of those kits. So I'm sure people will be, would love to hear about how that kind of comes about from the very early stages to kind of the decision to go with certain styles, and then kind of the whole process from start to finish.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm going to expose myself as being an absolute football shirt nerd here. I own a lot of football shirts. Get quite obsessed with them, really, and excited when ones come. I really shouldn't do, but I get quite excited when new shirts come out. Yeah, I think it was a job, as far as I'm aware, that John Katz was it was his creative idea of the shirts in previous seasons. Obviously, we got to the end of last year and beginning of this year, we had to start looking at options, and Todd took over, and we consulted a lot of people, the supporters liaison group. We looked at cold hard facts of how many, Adidas. We were well aware that our shirt was the most expensive in the league, retail wise. And we looked at everything. We consulted a lot of people. Do we stay with Adidas? Do we move away? What options are there? We weighed it up for a long time, made a decision that we wanted to go with Araya. We met with Scott, who's a guy that works at LS4, who is down in Farnham, who sort of run the Araya stuff in the UK. He came with samples of lots of different Araya shirts. We looked at the quality, we consulted the quality. We had, at the time, Chinakoli was on loan from Millwall, have Araya, and we said to Chin, like, do you like the playing in the kit? So, we consulted a lot of people to get to that stage. Neil was happy with the quality of everything. We asked everyone, we were all pretty happy with it. So that the decision was made to go with them. Then it was the designing stage. I played around with the designs for quite a while, different, the home kit in particular. We looked at mirroring the badge and maybe going for a four quarters rather than half and half, which some people have seen in sort of many years back, have been on a couple of shirts. So we looked about it. I like the fact the elements of the Sheffield United one, which had in their strikes, it had the blades within the design. So when I sort of looked at taking the elements of the crest and putting it into the red side of it as it is this season, I liked it. Obviously, they did the designs that I asked for and sent them back. So the home one took a bit of debating what we were going to do, back and forth. And then I thought about the away one, was thinking, where do I even start? I mean, obviously the fans are so loyal to the yellows and the chant and everything that comes with it. And then one day I was in the bar and I looked at that 95 shirt, the FA Trophy winning one, in my head, thinking, right, it's 30 years. And sadly to say, obviously at the time we were still in the FA Trophy at the start of the year, and obviously if the stars aligned, it would have been a victory 30 years on, and it all would have fell together. But I looked at it and I sent them a photo of the 95 shirt and just said, look, make a remake of this. And they came back with pretty much what we've got for the away shirt this season. Tweaked it a little bit, added a collar, not too much tweaking. They just smashed it out of the park straight away. And I looked at it and I said, the fans are going to love it. That seems to be a pretty common theme of a lot of clubs now, is going for a retro sort of remake of a famous shirt that they've had. And then it was, okay, the fans are going to really like the away one. I'm pretty confident they're going to really like the away one. And I really don't want to go something really, extravagant for the home one and sort of undo my hard work. I didn't want to away one everyone liked, but it was like, oh, the home one's horrible. So I sort of, decided on what we've got now. I love it. I'm really proud of it. It's got great feedback from majority. They should be a bit of an exclusive, ready to collect for pre-orders, or if you haven't purchased it yet, to purchase it by Forest Green next home game. So, or next home league game next weekend. So I'll be very excited to see something I played such a big part of, with fans wearing it and the home away kit. So yeah, it was a long drawn out process. We obviously looked into a lot of things, and probably in the next couple of months I'll be starting to look at next subbers, because I think we were sort of running behind with Raya in terms of the speed of how quickly we had to make the decisions. Normally they're sort of signed off by sort of December time, so we were running a little bit behind, but really glad we got there. Really happy with the final product when it eventually came over. The players, when they walk out in the home and away, I'm really sort of proud to see that. I think they both look really smart. Obviously I'm happy with them, and it was a good thing to be a part of.
It's great to have so much involvement, I guess, because I think the Adidas ones were basically a template, and it felt like they only had one template that was halves, so it was the same template 3 years in a row. So having that ability to do it bespoke is sounds like a really fun thing to be able to do. Quite nervy, I'm sure, as you say, because everyone's kind of really invested in it, and it could go either way. People could love stuff or hate stuff, or
Yeah.
so it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I did a lot of, like you say, going back to look at the comments from the previous years of what fans didn't like about it. The obvious, obviously, was reverting back to the badge rather than the shield. That was pretty nailed on straight away. But the reoccurring theme that was coming up was people saying that it isn't instantly recognizable as a Woking shirt, in the sense of it wasn't any Woking on there apart from on the back. It was sort of small at the back, and people were saying if you were wearing it out not around here or on holiday, that it wasn't really, people, oh, what shirt is that? And it wasn't. So in my head I think, okay, well, with it being bespoke, I could add the 1887 on the back, I could add the Cardinals down the bottom, make it very clear that you're wearing a Woking shirt, even if you're not necessarily familiar with it being a Woking shirt effectively.
Yeah, no, that's nice to have those touches. Is my third shirt this season, or is that there's no need to, because we always put one out.
Yeah,
Basically never gets worn. It might in like the next pre-season or something. So I'm not sure if it's worth the investment or if it's something that's going to come later in the season.
No, you're spot on. We had the discussion. Obviously, it's been well documented in the last 2 seasons. We wore it a combined 3 times in games. As it stands, as far as I'm aware anyway, there isn't a plan to release a third kit this season. We have white shorts and socks for the home shirt. So if there's a situation, I think we had to do it at Boston last year, where the ref demands, you can have your home shirt, but the shorts and socks clash. We have alternative shorts and socks to be able to mix it up. That's to not say it will not happen, but as it stands, no, there's no third kit that's planned to be launched anytime soon.
Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting to see the thinking around it, because as you say, with some clubs, there's no need to have a third shirt because you would never use it, so it just becomes a bit of a waste of time. And obviously, there's a lot of training gear and stuff like that where people can buy different versions and colours and stuff. So yeah, no, well, I'm sure people are looking forward to grabbing hold of their shirts when they come out soon. So that sounds great. And I guess actually so far, looking at your time with the club, I was going to ask about kind of your highlights so far from a media perspective, and obviously also stuff like doing the shirt. But I know your scarf video in the summer kind of went down a storm, so that must have been one of the more fun things you've done. But is there some kind of more serious things you've done which you've enjoyed the success of that, and I guess maybe some more light-hearted things as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think as a collective team, we're obviously the media team can have a good Saturday, not necessarily always when the team has a good Saturday. We have to, make sure we get all our ducks in a row and get everything right. Yeah, the scarf video was one that just came to me in the fact that like every post I'd put out, regardless of what it was just scarf, get a scarf out. And I was like, it's really weird how there's this object that is just so much fascination. How can I think it was probably like my love of like Toy Story, where you can just take an object and give it a bit of a personality. So I sort of had this concept. I said it to Jody, and he was like, that could be actually quite funny, and just ran with it. So yeah, sort of that went down pretty well. In terms of like, I mean, there's been lots of good days and content that's gone out, and it's done well. Creative videos that have been well received. Personally, like on the Oldham away game last season, not for any real reason other than the fact it was just like a really proud day to be part of the club after what had happened the weekend before. Going there and being around the players and getting such a vital win at that moment in time. Yeah, I think that was like really good, because it was like quite a small group of us that went up there, quite a small group of fans that went up there. And it was just one of them, like, how do we bounce back for this, and how can we come out of this like with a positive result? And we went 1-0 down so early, and you're panicking a little bit, and to come back, it was like, yeah, that was like not necessarily something that the media team did that day. We've had probably better days in the media team, but that was like a really good day to be part of the club in particular. Yeah.
I think also for that game, it kind of shows the standard we've got, because I think I'm right in saying that our equaliser, the camera just missed. I feel
Yeah.
like they didn't pan quick enough, and the ball was just like in the net. So you were sat there, and you're like, "Oh, we've scored. That's nice." So, but like those kind of things never really happen at Woking. We've got kind of the multiple angles and all that kind of stuff. So I know that people are kind of really, give a lot of good feedback about that stuff. So yeah, those big games where stuff is captured as well. Obviously, the game just gone. They're scoring 5 goals, and there's so many things you can do. Yeah, that seems like kind of the perfect storm for you guys, where you've got all the different camera angles and everything set up. Because obviously, we could go out and lose that game 1-0 or something, and then it's
Yeah.
all ruined, but you're probably not going to post all the stuff, right? Whereas, when you've got 5 goals and so many great moments, even the stuff at full time and stuff when you're on the pitch, that seems like kind of the perfect storm for you.
Yeah, and I have to say a massive thank you to Michael Phillips. A lot of people know Michael done our editing for our highlights. I can't take any credit for that. He's amazing at it. I have my camera on the side of the pitch, so when you watch the clips on the social medias, that's me, and the highlights and the replays, that's I'm the replays, but he has his own camera angle separate. He does the videography from the gantry separate to the zone, or they use a couple of different camera people over the last few years, but Michael does our camera angle. So you mentioned there of missing the goal, where Michael's very good. We're really proud. I know Carlisle at the start of the season, a lot of their fans were commented on our highlights saying what a great job we were doing. This isn't National League level. This is like League One Championship level production highlights. So yeah, that's something that I'm really proud of to be a part of. And Michael does a really good job of editing those and getting those out, after a game, either a Saturday night or a Sunday morning. Long may that continue, because it's something that I think shows the club in a good light. To have, like you say, the multiple camera angles of the highlights and decisions, where people at the time not questioning whether that a penalty, that not a penalty, but you can see it back pretty clearly that those decisions. So it's definitely something the club and I are really proud of.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. The higher you go up the leagues, and I'm not sure if it is still the case, but it always used to be the case that they were kind of behind a paywall, all run by the similar kind of company. I'm not sure if they even do that anymore, but I'm sure a lot of clubs probably do premium content and do charge for it. So I think, I guess the view from you guys currently at the moment anyway is just the more eyeballs on it. That's kind of what you want, because you're trying to grow the club and grow the fan base and grow followers and subscribers and stuff like you said before, rather than, well, we've got it to a point, but if they all paid £5 a month, wouldn't we make loads of money? I guess that's kind of the thought from you guys at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely not at that stage of thinking of going down that route. I know one of the reasons why Carlisle was so complimentary of their fans were they have a paywall behind there, whether that's something they brought down from League Two and have stuck with. But yeah, that got a lot of eyes, and a lot of the comments were the highlights that we pay for with Carlisle are nowhere near the level of this from Woking. You could learn a thing or two, Carlisle, and lots of tweets and comments and stuff, which was nice for us. Probably not so nice for them, but yeah, good thing for us to know that arguably the biggest club that are in our league is their fans are sort of looking at us as a benchmark of what highlights should be and readily available on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely something to be proud of. And this, great to see that. I guess actually, so this final kind of question is, obviously you said you were a follower of Woking before and a season ticket holder and stuff before. Tell us more about, I guess, Jonnie the Woking fan. How long have you been following the club? And as you may be aware, we sometimes do these interviews with players and fans and kind of get their top 3 games. I'm not going to put you on the spot for that, because I've given you no prior warning of this. But if you've kind of got one game from your time supporting the club that stands out as your favourite one, what would that be?
I was at the '97 FA Trophy final, so I think probably that would probably be obviously the best day I've had, or as a Woking fan. I think being the young age and getting to go to the old Wembley and watch us win there, I'd say probably is number one for me. Yeah, as a sort of as a spectator. Backstory really is grew up in Byfleet down the road. I'm a Chelsea fan. I think anyone that follows me on social media is aware of that. But my dad would take me to Woking quite often, as a lot of people do. If you're local, you still go to your local team. So started going 30 years ago, 30 ish, probably when I was 5-6 years old, 36 now. So went to that final. A lot of time in my 20s was going to watch Chelsea, if I'm honest. So sort of had limited time to go and watch Woking, and moved to Spain. Came back from Spain in 2020, and then it was one of them, a stage of sort of the dynamic that is the Premier League, and how they do their ticketing platforms, and the tourism side of people getting tickets. And yeah, it was one of them, like, right, I think this, and this is another thing for me at the moment, is I'm quite heavily passionate on, this is a real big time for the National League to sort of, National League still has its English footballing soul to it, if you know what I mean. And there's definitely people that I know are starting to get a little bit disheartened by higher level football in this country. And if we can, catch those people that have had enough of spending, £200 on a day out of the football, and you give them an alternative, and we both know that the quality of the National League is getting better and better and better throughout the seasons, no doubt. Over the years that I've been watching Woking, getting better and better, and that's no disrespect to any of the players or teams that have been in the past. It's the reality is, obviously a lot of teams are now full time, and it's getting better and better. So I sort of got a season ticket a couple of years ago, and then obviously that when I was at uni, my eyes were set on potentially having a placement, and that's how it came about, really. Yeah.
Cool. Well, great to hear. Living the dream, pretty much, for working at the club. Well, thanks very much for coming on, Jonnie. It was brilliant to chat to you. I'm sure it won't be the last time that we have you on, or people hear from you. So thank you for joining us, and we might see you again sometime.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, long time listener, first time caller, as the saying goes. And keep up the good work. We're all big fans, and we all listen, and big fans of what you guys do. So keep going. Thank you.